So here's another short rant style video on this little setup for my sit down to have a pipe setup. And of course we got a panel of paint because I've decided to paint a little bit of it just to test out the color, but of course it never gets painted, oddly enough. So what I've noticed is with these little pipe tobacco trays, I start putting little things in it. You know, I first start putting like a lighter in it, put a tamp tool in it, I start putting matches in it, and it gets kind of annoying. So I purposely try to keep this thing open and clean because if I'm ever gonna pack tobacco in or anything, I want a completely open and clean little tray for tobacco, basically. And so what I ended up doing is I ended up getting this little plastic tray from a thrift store. I think it used to hold some kind of an easel or something. But it's a little plastic tray, and then that's what I used to hold my little tamp tool, which I can fit right here. It looks almost like an actual ashtray, but it's technically not. And then of course, this little match jar, I sell these on Amazon, and you can tape these little safety matches, what do you call them, the little things that you light them on. I put them on the bottom of the jar, but I like using this thing, which I've taped on the side of here. Yeah, is it gonna work? Come on, see? So I kinda like using that more for matches. So this is kind of my whole setup. And I take this little tray and I just place it here in this little tub down here. And so it's basically where I keep everything. So I keep that thing in the little tub. And then of course I have this little glasses case, which is my little temporary storage for a pipe, which I'll store in the glasses case temporarily, put it in here. And my laptop charger, this little charger for my phone, which my phone is currently connected to, is all connected to this little lamp. So this is my very redneck, it's kind of nice. There's my horrible little car there, which I love. And that's kind of my whole setup here on this table. And it's kind of weird, it's kind of hard to explain how important this is to me, because for some reason this is where I spend all my time, is like developing these little systems to carry these little nonsense items. But I do love just going out here at night and just sitting down, and for about an hour or 2 hours or something like that, I can have my alone time and I can research where to get a meerschaum stem for these meerschaum pipes I'm trying to make usable again because their stems are broken. I've had to use a Dremel quite a bit on them apparently, and there's not that much information on meerschaum repairs online. There's actually quite a few really cool videos of people like creating briar or mortises basically for their meerschaum pipes. I don't know, this is kind of off topic, but this whole setup, it's weird. This is all I think about sometimes. This is my laptop case. I usually just slide my laptop on the side here. This is this old 2015 MacBook Air that you can buy for like $200 refurb nowadays, and they're like just perfect little netbooks basically that have very minimal power, but they work really well for viewing things online, like pipe stems. And this whole setup, it's morphed over time. It used to just be my laptop and my pipe that I would just hold in my hand awkwardly as I had my pipe tool and stuff that I would pull out of my pocket. I didn't know where to put my pipe down. This is glass, so you know it's gonna scratch up the pipe a little bit. I didn't like that, so I built this, or I made this little leather thing. I originally just went to Tandy Leather and bought a piece of leather, and then later I learned that I can just put these rivets in for like $10 on Amazon. You can buy the whole riveting set, like these little button rivets tools. See? And so now I usually put my jar of tobacco on here. My pipe I just set down on the side here. You don't even need a pipe stand, which is kind of neat. I used to use a pipe stand out here, but the pipe stands are actually very unstable, which is another interesting little thing. This is a leather pipe stand I made, and I made it very conical. You see how it's concave? So I would wet this. Originally this was brown. I thought the brown, or what do you call it, this vegetable tan color, I thought it looked kind of stupid. So I decided to try tanning it. And then after I tanned it, I thought, oh, it's too black, and it also marks up my pipe sometimes because I wasn't really sealing it properly. So I just washed it, and it gave it this odd distressed look, which I actually liked. And with the distressed look and the wetness of it, I was able to turn it concave like this. And the concaveness gives it a bigger, bigger footprint. So it's more stable. You know, obviously I think what I'm gonna end up with doing is getting one of those wooden pipe rests that are weighted. Like the heavier wooden pipe rests I think are better because this lightness makes it really easy to topple over. they topple over like pretty easily, especially if it's on a shelf or something. It's kind of unstable really, and I want something that's very heavy so that way it you know, holds the pipe better. The pipe doesn't just topple over if I knock it or something. But this is more foolproof, just resting it on the side here of the tobacco tray. And in the end of the day, if I'm ever gonna fill this thing with tobacco, I'm gonna put the little tobacco jar here, and I'm gonna fill the pipe over the tray anyway, usually, if I'm just pinching it directly above and I'm not rubbing it out, because I usually pre-rub out the tobacco in there. And then of course, as I make my plug for the Frank method, which I used to back my pipe with, and a little bit of it falls out, I might be able to go like this and pinch dust out and put it on the top as a tiny kindling, which is another aspect of pipe smoking I didn't get for a long time. I didn't understand that you can use that pipe tobacco dust, little tiny particulates and fragments, and purposely place them on the very top of your pack in order for a kind of kindling. And it works like incredibly well. It's my current setup basically. Isn't that great? Oh yeah, and also these little tiny jars, which you can use to put your matches inside of, you can also put this part of your pipe tool. So, you know, it's a little bit annoying. You got to take apart your pipe tool over and over again. A little annoying, right? So I placed that tamp there, and then this little scoop slash pick, which I think is actually the best way to go. I used to love the check tool scoop, but today I think the check tool scoop is too big. This is so small that when I just aimlessly scoop down there, all that gets pulled up is the ash. The larger particulate, you know, chunks, you know, larger pieces of tobacco, those I want to stay in the bowl. I only want to take the white ash out of there. And that type of really tiny scoop has become my favorite. And it used to be that I would always keep a check tool open, in the open position, in the shovel position, because I thought that was the best scooper out there. But oddly enough, this pick slash scoop is actually my favorite now, this really tiny pick slash scoop. And I've actually rounded this one out because it was very sharp. It was almost like blade sharp, and I didn't like how it was probably gonna end up scratching away at the bowl. Even though your bowls get coked, they get coated in that carbon coating, which you want them to, the carbon cake, which you want them to build up. So it's not really horrible if it's sharp, but that tool is just my favorite now. Even though this Rattray's, I think it's called the Thin Caber, Rattray's tamp tool. The weird problem with it, or at least to me a problem, is that this pipe tool, this handle portion actually is a different piece of metal than this bottom portion, and it's a little bit loose. So if I go like this and I shake it, I can feel a little bit of looseness. So it's a little bit annoying, but it's still nice. And it's great, and it's relatively long. There's a certain 8 deco pipe tool that I have where it's much shorter. It's only like this long. It's really annoying because you gotta basically pry into the very bottom, or you gotta poke into the bottom of any significantly deep bowl. Like this Eric Nording Siegel pipe is significantly deep. It goes all the way up to this knuckle of my finger. It's so deep that it's impossible to get down to the bottom and scoop out the ash. So that's, unfortunately, even though I love 8 Deco's products, I think the really short, tiny tamp wasn't the best for me at the time. But I don't know, I still like it. It's kind of a cool little tamp. I love the majority of the 8 Deco products. I think are very well made and very well priced. $10 for really nice acrylic looking cool, very precise metal tamp. That's a really good deal, I feel like. Yeah, this is my little sit down setup. I should probably get rid of these leaves here. I should probably paint this, you know, it'd be nice. So I don't know, I think over time I might add something else to it. If I have water or something, I can always place it here, etc. But it's hard to explain how important this is to my comfort, you know? I just can't imagine not having these little things nowadays. I could spend more money on another pipe, but it's like these accessories just make so much of the difference. I mean, you can buy these for like $20, I think, on Etsy, different places. I want to make one myself just because it was fun. So, you know, what the supplies and everything kind of cost a similar amount. It's kind of a wash if you're making your own stuff. But you can also make more of these, you know, with the same money. I think you can kind of make a whole bunch of them out of a single piece of leather from Tandy Leather Factory. What do you call them? Sheet. Whatever that is, as you're cutting it out and stuff. Interesting, fun little things to do. And of course I have all my lighters here. The little butane lighter, which I like for its precision, even though it'll go out very quickly with any small amount of wind. And of course this Zippo, very trusty, very wind resistant. pipe lighter. I guess it still went out, but who cares? And of course the oddly wind-resistant option, which is a mattress, which I never used until recently. I just never really did it. Even with cigar smoking, which I did for like, what, 8 years or so before I did the pipe smoking thing, I would never use, ever, a match. I always use a little torch tool. I just felt like, oh, torches are better. For some reason, I never really tinkered around with the whole cigar smoking thing. It was just so simple. You pull out a cigar, you light it, bam. It's good to go. Like, you're spending all your time on humidity. All right, okay, bye.